So for this final project, you're going to kind of be pulling out all of the stops. So to give you kind of a preview what I'm going to be looking for, it's here. So what you're going to be designing is basically from the beginning of the home screen, either a video app or a music app, and it should have a couple of things included. One of the things is a transition. Could either be like a loading or like a progress bar, something that shows something's loading up, and you'll see this here in just a second. So I'm currently on the home screen. That is the first screen. Then I click the music icon, and you can see I've got a loading animation happening here. You will see here in just a little bit how that kind of is created. Inside the second, technically the second screen, even though the loading screens is going to be more than like one, you should have the ability to go back and then also begin playing. So from here, it loads the app, it takes me inside, and now I can click my play button. I can also click the pause button. From the pause button being clicked, I should be able to click right back onto play. I also have some variant states in here that I can click and unclick my favorites. Another thing I have is an enlarge, where if a song is playing, it will continue playing a song here. And then I should be able to ultimately get it to pause. That is something that I'm still working out on the kink. It'll be one extra screen that I'll need to create and pause the state when it is in the play position. Now, from here, I can also click play on different devices, and then I can close this out. So I've got several different screens. Again, going to home, loading my app. From here, clicking my play, being able to pause it. I used actually a GIF for the playing feature that I created inside of Photoshop. Now, like I said, the last thing I need to do is when I enlarge this and it starts playing, I should be able to pause it from there as well. My pause isn't linked correctly. So it should be linking to it being paused or being paused on that same screen. So after a little finagling, I did go ahead and switch that to where when you click on the enlarge. So let's say right now we're basically in the pause state. So if you go to the enlarge then and click play, it'll start playing. Now if we scroll down, it'll continue playing, and then you can pause it. Now it isn't perfect because right now Figma does not have the ability to span the same song across several artboards. What you can do is kind of restart it or tell it to play from a certain location. Again, not necessarily always ideal, but people get at least the gist of what's going on once you have it inserted several times. And then the goal is to be able to seamlessly navigate in between all of the screens, from the beginning to end, being able to go in, pause it, being able to click on any of the icons. So if something isn't connected, making sure that regardless of what screen you're on, making sure that it goes back to where it needs to go. So like if I'm here, this is going to be my play, and so going in here and making sure that I have connected that to the right screen, and so I always have to make sure that those screens do exist, and that I didn't turn something off. And like when I was working on this, I think I actually turned off one of my actual screens, which is why it looks like it didn't go anywhere. So now if I go ahead and open it up, it turns back on. So just make sure that everything is connected, everything is turned on the way that it should be, and that it all flows logically. As I mentioned before, there's a couple of things that I did kind of finagle. So for example, going back here, I'm going to show you the little equalizer. When you click on it, literally one is a GIF that I created here. It is just a simple flowing GIF that goes back and forth. The other thing I did is I went ahead and I created a static one, just a PNG file. If you are planning on to only use an audio file, you will need to convert that into a video file. And the best way to do that is using Media Encoder. And I brought it in here and made sure I just exported it out as an MP4. That MP4 is hidden inside of my layers. So when you go and look, you'll see that it's right here in my layers, and it's actually just hidden behind an image. So that way I could still have it playing in the background and turning it on and off. When you're looking at these, you can see you can obviously go to certain buttons and you can tell it to play something. So for example, if I wanted to, turn something on and off, then I can always tell it to play on loading of that screen, or I could just tell it to pause specific sound and so forth. So if I'm working on the same screen, I can pause it, I can turn things off. You also want to make sure that when you are doing your design that you're not telling it just to autoplay. We want to make sure that we're actually able to control when something turns on versus when something is not playing automatically. Right? So we want to turn it on when we can, or we want to turn it off when we don't want it to play at the same time. There's a lot of links that can help. I'm going to include a resource that will help you kind of get some other gist to it. A lot of times when we're designing apps, we have to figure things out on the fly, meaning that not everything is always going to explain to us 100%, but based off of everything you've learned up to this point, you should be able to create some really nice layouts and designs for all of your screens. Again, remember, look at your assignment instructions for the minimum amount of screens, what's all required, icons, different things like that.